Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Vampire Counts led by Helm and GHORST and the Dark Elves who are going to be led by a Supreme Sorceress with the Lore of Fire. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So here on the front line, we do have a very heavy core of zombies. So in total, we do have 4 groups, and as you guys know, zombies are very good in Mortis Engine builds. They have a ton of HP with 7,500. When you compare that to the Graveguard with Great Weapons, yeah, they actually have more HP overall. Yes, of course, they have terrible combat stats, they have terrible defensive stats, pretty much just terrible stats across the board, but nonetheless, that's still 7,000 HP your opponent has to get through, and when you have a Mortis Engine or kind of those effects that increase in power over time, it's really, really valuable. So we do have 4 of those in total, a couple groups of Graveguard with the Great Weapons, 2 of those, and the Sternsmen here in the middle, and they do pretty well against most of the Dark Elf infantry. So Sisters of Slaughter, obviously very heavy hitters, 38, I was about to say missile damage, 38 weapon strength, poison, really good melee defense as well, but the Graveguard do have some armor, so at least they can mitigate the low armor piercing values of the Sisters of Slaughter. And on top of that, you know, if they do go with like Blackheart Corsairs or Harganeth Executioners or have the Blackguard and Ogron, which is somewhat common, some players do like to use very heavy halberd builds against vampire counts to fend off monsters and that kind of stuff. So having the Graveguard with great weapons in this matchup, I think is worth it. We have the Sternsman here in the middle, and this is going to be the core of the build. So yes, Helm GHORST is actually very essential here. So I've been playing a lot of Dark Elf players that don't bring like a ton of missiles in this matchup. They just go with very heavy infantry, sisters, and kind of just grind you over. And I feel like Helm GHORST is actually a really good counter against that. So he does have a Mortis Engine effect, the Reliquary Corruption. I do not believe it stacks with the Mortis Engine. That would be incredibly overpowered, but oftentimes, the Mortis Engine is like one of those things that when I've casted many competitive games, it's like, oh, you know, if he kills the Mortis Engine, he's going to win. If he can't kill it, the Vampire Counts are probably going to win. So I was like, you know what? Let's bring 2 Mortis Engine effects. Let's get the GHORST Man. Let's get the Mortis Engine and see how it goes. So he can summon the Graveguard as well. We got the Mortis Engine here, just a standard variant. We got 1 White King on guard duty. In the back, we also have the Mana Battery Necromancer. So he's completely stripped down of all abilities except the Forbidden Rod, which is going to allow the GHORST here to do his business. And we're getting even more wild here. We're going to be trying out the Chill Guy. So I really just wanted to experiment this game, see if it worked. And it looks like my opponent brought a pretty good build. So I was excited to test it against, you know, a bit of a competitive matchup here. So these guys just got to watch out for Slaanesha's Harvesters and Doomfire Warlocks. Against everything else in this matchup, they're going to be relatively safe. Lore of Fire does have like Fireballs and Burning Head, but neither of those are really going to melt these like Lore of Death would. But yeah, Fear, Terror, 75% physical resist. They also have really good armor piercing values. They have 38 weapon strength overall, with 34 of that being armor piercing, which is huge. You can kind of just like run them around the battlefield, use them amongst your infantry to cause fear and terror. Definitely can be solid if they don't get caught with a magic nuke. For my opponent, he does have 2 groups of the Cold One Knights, so 1 here and 1 here. He's got these Doomfire Warlocks and Slaanesha's Harvesters, I think. No, Doomfire Warlocks and Dark Riders. And then I know he has Slaanesha's Harvesters somewhere. I think they're like way, way back here. Yeah, there they are. So got to watch out for those guys. My Chill guys really need to be careful. For his front line, he's got a combination of Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, and then he does also have 2 Sisters of Slaughter here in the center, which are very good at mulching Vampire Counts units. Supreme Sorceress with the Lore of Fire. It looks like he has Burning Head, Flaming Sword of Ruin, which can also counter my Chill guys if used correctly. He's got some Blackguard back here and another group of the Cold One Knights. So that's pretty much it. Very aggressive army. It looks like he's going to try and mulch me over with the Sisters and the Lore of Fire, and then from there kind of pincer and collapse my formation with his cap. So without further ado, guys, let's get this game on the road here. So I do have the 2 Vargulfs as well. I forgot to mention those guys. Definitely very solid at taking out enemy lords, fighting amongst your troops. They do cause fear and terror and are quite impactful. They have 80 speed, so you can pull off a lot of solid maneuvering tactics with those guys. So in the front line, we're going to be engaging. I did pull the Chill guys back because I saw the Slaanesha's Harvesters coming, which would absolutely melt these guys with their magic damage. And this is what's great about this map. Like, let's just throw some zombies in the hole, just plug up these Harvesters, and you can see my opponent's going to be pulling up and around now. The frontline engagement's underway, so the Sisters have engaged with the zombies, just piling in there, just doing karate leaps and just whipping them. It's kind of funny to imagine, like, whipping zombies. But anyways, the Graveguard are also going to collide. The White King's coming in here. Helm GHORST making his way with his 23 movement speed, but you know what? He's ready to party. The Vargulfs and the Mortis Engines are also going to be jumping in the front line. So I get a charge with the Chill guys against some of these Bleak Swords, or I think, yeah, they were Bleak Swords here. Didn't do a whole lot of damage, but I'm just kind of riding through the front line, avoiding the Doomfire Warlocks. It looks like there's going to be a Flaming Sword of Ruin going down here, so he probably foresaw the commitment from the Chill guy. So as soon as I see that, I try and pull out, and you can see I'm trying to, but the AI keeps tugging me back in, and a Burning Skull going down for my opponent. So this is going to do some heavy lifting most likely, and I guess it just got canceled. Not sure if that was a Burning Skull or what that was. The 2 Vargulfs also in the front line, lending some support against the Sisters, and now things are going to get pretty crunk. So Fireball going off, doing a little bit of damage against Mortis Engine, but nothing terribly devastating. And now I have a Mortis Engine effect. So Helm GHORST is draining here whenever the Mortis Engine needs to pull back, but a very good Soul Stealer here. Going to do some magic damage to all my troops, so he does have a bit of a counter for this blob Mortis style of play. Over here, getting melted a little bit, although the zombies, They did not solo those Bleak Swords. There must have been something else. I think I had the Vargulfs over there for a moment. But the Burning Skull is going to be going down again. Looks like it's going to be hitting my back line, roasting a lot of these Graveguard. But Burning Skull, though it looks really cool, it doesn't do the most damage against heavy armor. So Sternsman, Graveguard with Great Opens, none of them are going to take devastating damage, really. It's really good against like zombies and skeletons and chaff units and that kind of stuff. Anyways, the main fight is underway. We're getting some pretty good draining. He does try and flank me with the Dark Riders, but I do pull back the Chillgeist. We're very healthy. I've been using Invocations. They've also been getting healed by the Mortis Engine, and they're just ripping these Dark Riders to pieces. Just absolute massacre. Another Fireball goes off right there, but it looks like it was a bit of a wide miss. Helm and GHORST just kind of parking here. You can see he just... Look at the brothers GHORST. They ride out in the darkness. So they ride out. He provides I think he has Corpse Guard effects as well. Yeah, I think he gives melee attack, melee defense. But anyways, battle's going pretty well over here. I've been completely collapsed. So this entire part of the battlefield, all my Graveguard, pretty much everything just got mulched over by a Doomfire Warlock flank, as well as, just kind of the pressure from the standard infantry. My White King standing pretty firm with Heroic Killing Blow, but I pull in the Mortis Engine, and now we're going to be getting a rear charge with the Chillgeist. But this was a little bit scary because Helmi and GHORST kind of got pulled into the open. I thought I might need him in the back line. And over here, there are some Slaanesha's Harvesters who are looking to strike here in just a moment. I'm chasing my opponent's Lord with the two Vargulfs who are very fast, 80 speed, and he has 92, so he's a little bit quicker, but it's going to keep him on his toes. And it looks like we got some good damage. So the Chillgeists are going to be going over here, cleaving some of these Bleak Swords. It looks like a Doom Bolt from the sky coming down, but these guys are just doomed. They're going to get Terror-Rad and punished pretty bad. Let's see how much damage this actually does. Yeah, it didn't actually do a whole lot. So anyways, Helm and GHORST does have the ability to summon Graveguard, which is pretty cool. I summoned the first one over here to help in this prolonged battle. Right here, I did pull back some of my Graveguard with Great Opens, which if these 55 Graveguards stand on GHORST, he can just drain these Slaanesha's Harvesters into another dimension, essentially. They're going to just get melted. So definitely very powerful if he's not taking focus fire from missiles. So the GHORST man doing a pretty good job here, draining these bad boys. Graveguard kind of tying them up a little bit. But the really important thing is that my Mortis Engine is in perfect health. GHORST is in perfect health. My opponent hasn't been able to snipe him. Over here, the Terrorgeist, or not the Terrorgeist, the Vargulfs are just causing massive problems for my opponent. And the Chillgeists are actually doing a really good job just kind of circling around. I'm basically just playing like, what is that game that called like that you play in school? It's like Ring Around the Rosie or something like that? Yeah, anyways. But like I'm just going in a circle, running from the Doomfire Warlocks. Wherever they go, I'm just circling away, which is making the Chillgeists very effective. I mean, 70 kills right now. Definitely getting a lot of value from the Invocations on them. So GHORST's doing a very good job right here. He's just kind of sitting amongst the Graveguard, giving them melee attack, melee defense. Yeah, it looks like he does. And on top of that, we summon another group of Graveguards. So I was pretty much out of troops. The Sisters of Slaughter, the Bleak Swords, all those other guys, very good at mulching infantry. But this is not a fight that's going to favor my opponent. He doesn't have the range pressure. I can just sit on top of the Graveguard and my Vargulfs and just drain all day. And you can see those perpetual effects really starting to get to my opponent. In the back, the Chillgeists healed up to pretty much full health from that Invocation and the Heck, just absolutely insane stuff. So I'm going to be pulling them back, and yes, these are Doomfire Warlocks, but I noticed they were shaken, they were low, and the Chillgeists are going to come in and probably tear out these bad boys in just a moment. So, hey, they do hit pretty damn hard, and you can see that, yeah, the Doomfire Warlocks get terrified, just run over. The Cold One Knights, confident for now, but the White King still fighting to the bitter end, which is absolutely amazing. So at this point, the bounce power is pretty massively in my favor. All of the infantry of the Dark Elves, the Dreadspears, the Sisters, the Bleak Swords, everyone is just getting worn down by the memeing of GHORST as he cackles. And oh man, when I was playing this game, like my Necromancer that was hiding in the back, like I moused over him for a moment to use his ability, and he just had the most ridiculous cackle. It was straight up like Palpatine from Star Wars. It was just perfect. So Helm and GHORST and the boys are able to clean up the rest of the Dark Elves, and that is going to be all she wrote. So, I initially brought this build. Yeah, I think there's some competitive elements to it, like Mortis Engine. Having two Mortis Engine effects is very powerful. On top of that, the Chillgeists were a bit of an experiment, but I actually really like them quite a bit. The Doomfire Warlocks could potentially counter them, but that map really helps me out quite a bit in that respect because I was able to kind of cordon them off using zombies, and then I was able to kind of like out-circle. And if you wanted to take an engagement, I could simply just run through my own troops, pull them into the Mortis Engine effect. So it was definitely pretty strong. A couple groups of Dark Shards would have been tough because I didn't have the zombie summons to like deal with missile play. But yeah, so many Dark Elf players are just using Doomfire Warlocks and heavy kind of grind builds just to run down your infantry. And my infantry did get run over. Like they got punished. So that part of my opponent's build definitely did very good. But the GHORST man was just an absolute force of nature. He actually did quite a bit of work. For once, like I think he was like a solid threat in that game. Well, not for once. It's happened before. The double Terror Vargulf was very good as well. I was able to kind of pressure my opponent's Lord. I had so many things that caused fear and terror, and I felt like it was pretty disruptive on the battlefield. But yeah, essentially this build was very, very experimental, but it ended up being pretty good. Like I really liked it. And if your opponent, I guess isn't expecting like the Mortis Engine plus GHORST plus like, the Hex Race and all these different like threats, it might be a little bit tough to handle. I don't know. I'll have to play some more games and see how it goes, but I really, really did enjoy that. And I mean, the GHORST man can be pretty good in matchups in which your opponent isn't using like heavy missile play. So if you're playing against like Beastmen or Warriors of Chaos is a little bit risky because Shaggots can kind of just hunt him down. But yeah, I don't know. Even if you're playing against a faction with missiles who doesn't typically use missiles in the Vampire Count matchup, you might be able to get away with him, and I felt like it was pretty strong. But those Chillgeists really performed. just like taking out enemy cavs, skirmishers, just wrecking enemy infantry, terror routing things, getting massive value from the Invocations of Nehek. And I definitely recommend bringing the Necromancer with the Mana Battery. That is just absolutely clutch. For my opponent's build, I did like it. It was one of those builds designed to run things over. I'm not a huge fan of Dark Riders in this matchup. I mean, I guess they're decent. There is an argument to be made because like Dark Riders can rear charge against like zombies and Graveguard and things like that. And even though they won't do a ton of damage, they can then break the leadership of those units. And from there, that'll actually do a bit of damage. So Dark Riders definitely, I suppose they have a bit of a place. And like if I was using a ton of hounds and stuff like that to try and get around and harass, like the Dark Riders are pretty good at like combating like just like dire wolves and things like that. Doomfire Warlock, just absolute monsters. Their buffs, like he was using the buffs in the front line, like the Soul Blight and everything, to kind of make my guy squishier, which then really allows the Sisters to melt you. So I do like that synergy between these two units quite a bit. So anyways, very well played by my opponent, Apex Boogie? Apex Boogie. Look forward to running into you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that Helmengorst build. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.